Wave off.
And like I said, if everybody would shut off their phones, I would greatly appreciate it. We're going to waive Robert's rules for this meeting.
I second that.
Thank you. I have a little bit of business. Our next meeting for the Board of Directors will be Tuesday, the 28th, which is the fourth Tuesday, but we will change the time of the meeting to 2 p.m. So it'll be 2 p.m. on the 28th of January, Tuesday. And I would like everybody to please, we have a large crowd, I would like everybody to please keep your side comments to yourself because it is very disruptive. Thank you. Approval of the November 5th workshop minutes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
I second.
Thank you. Now we'll have board comments. Does anybody have a comment? Dick?
No.
Fine.
I do.
Sabrina?
Oh, you want to wait speeches? No, I have no comments.
Okay, Kim?
I would like to thank Joe Cornett. He went around to all of our buildings. He checked all our water heaters. He provided me with dates for a building book that I've been creating. And he did a phenomenal job on this hot water heater and checking them all out. And now we have an idea of what needs to be fixed if you have issues with your hot water heater. So I'd just like to thank Joe Cornett for that.
Thank you, Joe.
That's all.
Okay, Chuck, do you have any comments?
Not right now.
Okay, I have a comment. I'm going to start out, and I'm probably not going to make a lot of friends, but I might make some enemies, but I might make friends. I have something to say, and it is shame on us. We have become a divided community. We're divided by hate, misunderstanding, lies, pettiness, control issues. Rumors abound, and rumors are cruel, mean, hurtful, half-truths, and in most instances, flat out wrong. And there is a lot of blame to go around. Because of what I have stated, most people know that 2 board members have resigned, namely our treasurer, Keith Keller, and director, Peggy O'Keefe. While the board has been helpful in our transition to a property management firm, Keith has worked tirelessly during his tenure to create a smooth and knowledgeable transition. Peggy's knowledge of new laws affecting our community in other areas such as landscaping was a great asset. Sadly, we have lost much talent. Everyone has an opinion, but what is it based on? Is it personal feelings of dislike, trust? It is imperative that we all work together. We must put past issues behind us, not continually rehash them. We must work together once again to become a whole unit, working together for the betterment of Monterey Yacht and Country Club. There are many things that need attention, both physical property and board issue related, and there are many people with the ability to accomplish them. As a wise man has stated, we are in our 4th quarter of life. We should be enjoying life, not involved in this havoc. There are 4 openings for the board. Make change by putting your name on the ballot, but make sure you run for the right reasons, for our community, for the good of the whole of Monterey Yacht and Country Club. If you choose to run or not, be sure to vote. I'm asking for respect at this meeting. I am asking for people to respect one another and this board. We have a lot to accomplish today. And by that, we're going to do it 3 minutes. You get 3 minutes to talk, and no borrowing of time. And with that, let us begin this meeting. Thank you. Sabrina has something she'd like to say.
I feel like now's a good time.
the microphone.
I feel like now's a good time after Pam's speech. So basically, a couple of months ago, I put an ad in the chip shots for somebody that we have 4 open positions for the board, and we want people to run for the board. You would have to submit your intent to run. It isn't January 20th.
20th and then the 25th for the resume.
Right. So January 20th, by the time the doors close, 4 o'clock, you have to submit your intent. Now, your intent doesn't have to be anything major. You can just write, for example, me. I, Sabrina Stanita,
Everyone should have the form.
there's a specific
Yeah,
form.
it is-
I just did it on a piece of paper.
Well, there is a
I
form.
intend to run for the board but
Yeah, there is a form. If you need a form, please come to the office. We have them there. You can communicate with me. I'd be more than happy to send any of you who lost their form or whatever that's interested in running. If you want to submit a bio on what your qualifications are, those are due on the 25th of January.
right. So by 4 p.m., can they email it or does it just
Well,
have to be?
it's actually by midnight. So if I get it
Oh,
by
by midnight?
email
Okay.
on the 20th, by mail, email, they just drop it in the slot. We're gonna
Okay.
go with it the next
All right,
morning.
so even if you missed it, you can do it by dropping it in the slot, or if you do it by email, they do it by whatever the postmark is. Okay, so, if we have just 4 people running, there won't be an election, because that's what it is. If we have 5, because there's 4 open positions, if we have 5 or more people running, we will have an election, which will be on March 1st. Basically, I wanted to talk now because what I'm saying kind of goes with what she had just said. If you love your community and want to see it being vibrant and you have something to offer, you have special talents, gifts, it would be great for you to run. We can use you. We want some additional expertise, and we also want people who, I know we're never all going to agree because we're people, we're all different people. And if we can just communicate and just, talk things through, hash them out, and then obviously once you vote, whoever the majority is, that's how it's going to be. But it would be nice if we all work together, and it's nice to get different ideas because sometimes somebody's idea is better than another. So I'm hoping people think about it in that way. How I love it here, and I think I have something to offer. I'd like to run. I'd like to see that happen. And also, like what I had said, which went with what she said, I hope we can all respect each other and be open-minded and not have like a specific agenda, but all try to work together. If we didn't have 4 candidates, I just wanted to bring this up because people have said things to me, and I don't think people really understand how receiverships work. If we didn't have enough people and we needed to go into receivership, if, for example, we didn't have 4 people running for the board, I think some people think it's not a big deal, but it really is a big deal. What happens in that situation, because the board can't work together, we don't have enough board, the court appoints a board. The board is usually made up with attorneys and CPAs and stuff, and they cost an arm and a leg. It's like you're paying $300-400 an hour, and normally, because our community's so big, we would probably end up paying, they say 200 when you look online, but I think we'd be closer to 300, 400, or 500,000 for the year. Then in addition, we're gonna have court fees and attorney fees because our attorney, I think, is gonna be involved with them. Watson fees will go up because they have more things to deal with. That being said, you're not gonna have a board here on staff, so anytime you have a concern and you wanna run, like we wanna run to Pam, something's wrong with this and something wrong with that, and I'm not happy with this and that, I don't think you have someone that you can talk to that way. So that's what I think. Your HOAs are probably gonna go up to over $1,000. So, and that's not the kicker. The kicker would be that when you go to sell the place in real estate, I believe the real estate can see that it's in receivership. Nobody's gonna wanna buy in here. If you wanna sell, you're gonna end up selling your place at fire sale prices. So if you're worried about like how bad insurance was for property values, I think this is way worse. So that's another consideration. I don't think it's going that way because I think people are starting to think about it, but just in case, you know, I just kind of wanted you to know what it might cause. And that's all. We're going, moving through the agenda, we are going.
Registration.
Yeah.
Bring it up.
Under items for discussion, we're going to discuss the board member's resignation.
And I got something to say on this. Okay, this is a statement I prepared, and with a few comments about the resignation of Keith and Peggy. And a lot of people weren't here when this went down, but you'll get the gist of it from this. My statement is to the person or group of people that spearheaded a meeting about me. First of all, let me use a phrase from Donald Trump. This was a complete witch hunt. The two board members sent out emails to non-residents and 2 past board members about their resignation, which is completely against the board's confidentiality rules. The email stated a group of texts that the board members involved was about the day of the gas line break. Unfortunately, in the resignation emails, they only sent out portions of the text to the emails that was shown that we made comment on. The resignation letter was sent out to Ryan Londo, non-resident, Bob McCosey, and Diane McIntyre, past board members, which never should have been put out in the first place. And I have no idea who put this information out. Shame on them, because they know the confidentiality rules of the board. To the person or group of people, again, that organize the witch hunt should know the rules of the Monterey Association before making accusations. Since the email was sent out without who said what on the text, I'm going to break the rule on this because it was a personal attack on me. I am never going to let the board spend money inappropriately as long as I am on the board. It's every board member's judicial duty to know how much money is being spent and where it is going. We owe it to our community. We have worked hard for the golden years, and we don't need our money wasted. I'm going to read a couple resolutions that was voted on at board meetings and brought up at workshop meetings. And one of them is an official committee resolution. And it says, memberships committees are responsible for knowing the perimeters of their activities and will follow rules and regulations, resolutions, bylaws, and documents of the association. This includes, but not limited to, receiving permission from the board to purchase items that will become property of the association, alter or modify common areas, and also plant trees and shrubs, okay? That's one. Another one is the landscape committee resolution was all voted on by this board. It says the property manager and landscape committee will determine what trees, what shrubs, what plants will be removed and planted on the common grounds. That's a resolution. Both of those weren't done. Now, go on to my information here. It was sent out on an email, and Pam wanted to know what happened, and she said that people on the board and the community needed to know, but there was no response. They said the response came, let the property manager tell you, she knows everything, but I'm not going to have to go through all that. That's not necessary. But in closing, I want to say there were 35 responses on this text to the board members only. There were only 10 of the responses sent out on the resignation email. The only 2 board members that did not respond to the text message was Peggy and Dick. They didn't respond to them. And by the way, I mentioned 2 names and all that 35, and the 2 names I mentioned was not a board member. It was Holly and Carlos. And Carlos is their landscape person. That's the only 2 names I mentioned. So I'm going to say the last word is Pam and Keith had no choice but to sign the invoices. And the reason that is, the board member went out on their own and purchased the plants, brought it back, and turned the invoices in. Our property manager tried to send the plants back. They were going to start causing a big restocking fee, so we didn't do it. So they had no choice but to sign those invoices. And that's all I got to say on the matter. Thank you.
I have been asked, and I would like to read the formal resignation from Peggy O'Keefe and Keith Keller. From Peggy O'Keefe. Attached is a string of text messages sent from several board members to all members of the board this morning. The messages are accusing me and Keith Keller, treasurer, as KMCA board members of misappropriation of the association's funds through my volunteer work that I have done for the community under the landscape committee and through his volunteer work as treasurer of the association. These accusations are totally false in their entirety and fabricated by existing board members to continue their personal grievance against me since I was elected to the board. To protect myself and the KMCA Association, I am resigning from the KMCA Board of Directors effective immediately. Respectfully submitted, Peggy O'Keefe, Director. From Keith Keller. To all, this morning I met with Pam Kabansky and Holly Leedy to discuss my extreme displeasure with the chain of text messages from Kim Smith and Chuck Parks noted below. There is no open checkbook and the treasurer does not write checks. All invoices are reviewed, approved by the property manager before being sent to the president and treasurer for final approval. If the property manager has a question about an invoice, it is investigated before being sent to the board for final approval. The comments of the brother-in-law are extremely offensive. These ongoing personal attacks and the character assassination are uncalled for and extremely detrimental to the board functioning and to the community at large. Over the past 2 years as treasurer, I have worked thousands of hours as an NYCC volunteer to bring the accounting up to speed and training 2 property managers about the operations of our community. The claims and innuendos of mismanagement of funds are meritless. I will not continue to volunteer my time, expertise, and services to NYCC any longer. I hereby tender my resignation from the King Mountain Board of Directors, effective immediately. Keith Keller. I am not going to read the references that Chuck maybe I will. From Peggy O'Keefe and Keith Keller, and the 10 comments that were text messages to the entire board, as Chuck pointed out. They start out with, how can the 3 trees planted at the putting green come out of the plant and tree replacement budget? There were no trees ever there. Another person commented, I am not sure that it is just replacement. I get the work she puts in and I appreciate it. The grounds look great. I don't understand how she has an open checkbook. There is the problem with having a board member that involved a committee and having her brother-in-law write the checks. I say we fix this, the next person said, I say we fix this in the next board. Next comment, I agree, no board should be able to spend that much money. what happened to the $500 rule. Next person, I also think the 500 rule needs to be looked at. Next person, how can the 3 trees planted at the putting greens come out of the plant and tree replacement budget? There were no trees ever there. Next person, I am not sure that it is just replacement. I get the work she puts in and I appreciate it. I thought so.
Yeah, sometimes
They repeat themselves.
Oh, yes, they do. Okay. So much money, what happened if I, that's it.
Let me say this, I do have a copy of the complete text that's what's said. I got 35 comments on here, and who said what to who. So if somebody would like to see it, I don't have a problem showing it to you.
I do have a letter from the lawyer regarding, I will read his letter. It is regarding the legal opinion on misappropriation of funds that was alluded to in the 2 resignations. Dear board members, this letter is in response to your request for a legal opinion on whether directors Keith Keller and Peggy O'Keefe misappropriated funds. As further discussed, in my opinion, they did not misappropriate funds. My opinion is based on the following understandings. Ms. O'Keefe authorized landscaping to be installed on the common elements. 2, the landscaping was not approved by the board of directors. 3, the invoice from the landscaping company was approved by Mr. Keller and another director. If these understandings are incorrect, please let me know. His opinion is misappropriation is defined as the application of another's property or money dishonestly to one's own use, or to appropriate wrongly as by theft or embezzlement. See Black's Law Dictionary and Merriam-Webster. To my knowledge, Ms. O'Keefe and Mr. Keller did not, 1, use any of the association's funds for their own purpose or benefit or to pay for their personal expenses. 2, steal from the association. 3, or embezzle money from the association. The funds were used for the association's landscaping expenses, which were previously budgeted by the association. This does not constitute misappropriation, even if the use of funds did not follow the board's policies and resolutions. The failure to comply strictly with a policy or resolution does not, in of itself, constitute misappropriation, although you may need to revise the policies and resolutions. I hope this legal opinion addresses your question. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. Jacob A. Answer, attorney from Ross, Earl, Bonin, Enser, and Kerrigan, PA. That's it. Okay. Are there any comments? Questions? Yes, ma'am. Can I ask whoever is going to comment, please come up to the microphone at the podium. And we have a 3-minute after you identify yourself. Thank you.
Eileen Moriarty, my only question is, regardless of who's right or who's wrong, what happened? Were the trees planted? Was there a check signed? Who approved them, who didn't? It really gets down to basics. It doesn't really matter all the text who said what, because we can interpret them any way we want, but was money spent? My understanding was that there were to be no replacement when trees and bushes died, or maybe just some of the big critical items. And so I'm just trying to figure out what the big deal is, because either the money was spent inappropriately, maybe not misappropriation of funds, but it was, they elected to do it because they felt like doing it. And that gives her an open book to spend our money any way she wants. So
it was a budgeted amount that was spent prior to approval by the board.
Right, so she didn't get approval. So
No.
that's what it gets down to, basically. All the he said, she said doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
Okay, so she did an inappropriate thing. She didn't embezzle money.
No.
She did an inappropriate thing. And that seems to be a pattern, with some people.
That's why it's going to be addressed going forward.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Just so you know, that per legal counsel, we are allowed to run our community with 5 board members. Anybody wishing to have a copy of that decision can do a document request form from the office. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Yes, Jim. Mr. Hensel.
I just wanted to address 2 things.
Please identify yourself. Not for those
Jim
that don't
Hensel.
know you. Okay.
Unit 12J, sorry about that. I wanted to address 2 things. One, the budget that went out is the manager's budget requesting money to be spent on various things. The board approved it. The board has no authority to initiate any expenses on that budget, only the manager. Now, the board can direct, the board as a whole can direct the manager on what to do, but no individual director can. The other thing I wanted to mention was we have 5 members. If you look at our documents, the bylaws state that anytime there's a vacancy, the board of directors can appoint. Let me rephrase that. Our documents, bylaws, section 5 state the board will replace any vacant spots. I only see 4 or 5 directors up here. If there aren't enough directors elected during the election, the board that sits at that time can appoint the additional directors to fill in the vacant spots. We're not going to run into any of those legal problems. That's something that Peg came up with in the past.
You guys are gonna run though. I think we are gonna have enough people, right? Yes. Okay.
My papers got all confused. Anybody else have anything to say on this particular topic?
Oh, there's Diane. Two minutes or one? Thank you.
Don't forget to identify yourself.
Diane McIntyre, 29E. First off, I'd like to say Pam did a great job starting this meeting, a very good job. Second, I would like to say I was on the budget committee for a number of years, and it's the board of directors' responsibility when we're putting that together to ask the questions like, where is the money going to go? So I do not believe there was a question asked about how many trees are going to be put in, how many bushes, where are they going to be? So that's a problem that should be addressed, because there are many areas in the board, in the budget, that you get a number and you have a limited understanding of where it's being spent. Now, to defend Peggy, that budget was put together, and anybody who's been in business and has worked a budget knows that at the end of the year, you want to spend that money because you're not going to get it next year. So, again, there's a lot of back and forth. It's unnecessary. It's disruptive. And that's all I got to say.
I'd like to make a comment to that about the budget. The budget is set up so the money is in there to run the community. It's not set up just to use. It would be nice if we don't have to use all the money in the budget. If we used all the money in the budget on every line, then it would go up every year, every year, every year. If we are short on some lines and over or other, it can be adjusted. The budget is not there just to be spending. The budget is there for a reason. And it's to keep the community running, and that's what it's for. So the budget line that you're talking about was for plant and tree replacement. Go out on the golf course. All the golfers see them. There's 10 or 12 trees out on the golf course. Those weren't in replacement. That money should have been spent around people's condos. I rode around the other day, and it's terrible. There's so many empty places. And I've already had phone calls with people, so I'm gonna work on that. But it's a replacement. It wasn't for new trees and new plants. And that's all I'm saying.
I got another comment. Still only one.
Does she get another 3 minutes?
No, it's a different comment. Now you made me forget, Chuck.
Oh, sorry. Well, go back and sit there. You can back up. You got 2 minutes left.
I got I totally forgot. You just blew my mind.
Sorry.
It'll come back to you.
It'll come back.
Sit down.
Your clock's running. You want to sit down?
No,
Come back?
just tell me what you said last, because that's what got me. Okay, the budget, yeah, the
There's a
budget.
budget, not a budget.
Thank you.
That was the whole conversation.
It was one senior moment of my day. Okay, here's my comment. When a budget is put together, there's always places where you can take money to move it because of unexpected problems. For example, our heater in the pool, that was not budgeted for. Where was that money going to come from? So again, a budget is a moving target, and we need to understand that.
Do we have any other comments? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you, Pat. You were behind the Please identify yourself.
What's that?
Don't forget to say your name.
Pat Friedman, Building 13.
Thank you.
13-1.
F.
Thank you.
Okay, so my daughter's a third grade teacher, and this is what she teaches her third graders, and I hope we can learn from it. People will not remember what you say. They will not remember what you did. People will always remember how you made them feel. Right now, I feel betrayed, disappointed that we're going through this again. This is a deja vu from last year. I know we're trying to turn the page, and I hope we can get transparency, trust, and truth back in this community. Dick, I am so sorry what your daughter's going through in California. This is small beans compared to what they are going through. Prayers here. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just have a question.
I'm Joyce Wasser-Haley, Building 24D. I just have a question. Are Keith and Peggy on any other boards?
They are, Keith is on the Finance Committee. He is the chair. He was elected the chair yesterday.
Became chair yesterday. He was nominated chair.
That is his only, that is his.
The committee voted.
Peggy was on, if, this will lead into, discussion of the unanimous consent. Peggy was on landscape, annual meeting, and
Communication.
communications. She has resigned, all three.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any more comments? If we don't have any more comments, let's move on. And the next item on the agenda is the trimming of the areca palms on building 50 and 51. And Holly has information on that.
I'm the one who put that on the agenda. I know it's a big concern for the people who live over 5051. I was getting bids. I did get one for $350 to trim them, haul away the stuff from Carlos the landscaper. So there's no vote or anything you need because it's under $500. So that'll be happening in the next couple of weeks. I will get it scheduled as soon as possible.
Thank you, Colin. Next on the agenda is the annual meeting discussion. The designated voter form and intends to be on the board of directors. Kim, do you want to address that?
Only that the annual meeting will be held on March 1st. Kathy, what time is it? 1 o'clock? 1 o'clock. The designated voter form, we've discussed it before. Please make sure that you get a new one into the office. Sometimes, and I know I did this, people forget who your designated voter is and the wrong person signs the form. So, or signs the ballot. Those ballots are not allowed to be counted. So we need everybody to make sure that they get their designated voter form in to the office so that we make sure your vote counts. Anything else you'd like to say, Kathy?
No, just new voter forms for everyone.
Yes.
I'm updating all the files. So
Yes.
everyone, a new voter form, but you think you know who it is or what.
Okay.
I would just like a new one from everyone.
Kathy would like a new one from everyone, so
Let's make Kathy happy.
let's please make Kathy happy.
I would like to go now to the unanimous consent forms that have been signed. The CSM bid package for $2,500 for them to assign, to do our search for those that would be handling our bid. We voted for that. These are all unanimous consent forms that the board has signed. The appointment of Sabrina Stagnita as board liaison for the finance committee. Roof authority for the roof repair building at building 6 for $750. The appointment of Kim Smith as board liaison for annual meeting committee. The appointment of Kim Smith as board liaison for communication committee. Appointment of Chuck Parks as board liaison for the landscape committee. And by the way, he is looking for volunteers and members to join that committee.
It's posted on 99.
Yes,
I've got
it's posted.
four or five people already want to do the job, so
Perfect.
we're going to have a good committee.
Appoint Sabrina Stagnita to the position of treasurer, and she will remain as vice president. So she will be vice president and treasurer until the annual election. Approve above and beyond to tent building 25 for tournaments at a cost of $4,550. And this is going to take place probably towards the end of February. Resolutions and surveillance. Resolutions that are being considered are for surveillance. Do we need to discuss these right now?
Let me just run through them real quick.
Yeah, you can run through. Make sure you turn on your mic. Turn on your mic, please.
I'm not,
Here, turn on your mic.
okay. I'm not sure how many of you are aware, but our record keeping in here has been, our record keeping here has not been the best. So I've been going through all the old resolutions and trying to make sure that everything we have is active and what this community needs. One thing we discussed at the last meeting was a surveillance policy. We do have cameras in the office and out at the entrance to the clubhouse. And we needed to put a policy together. So I wrote a policy and there has to be a resolution. The resolution needs to be approved by the board. In essence, the resolution states just that we need to have guidelines need to be created to regulate the procurement, installation, placement, and use of security cameras to monitor and record common areas for safety and security. This policy applies to the use of security cameras for monitoring and recording, and therefore applies to the common areas of NYCC and to all members of the NYCC community. In general, cameras are intended to serve two main purposes: personal safety, to capture video in the event of an individual is the subject of harm or crime, and for property protection, to capture video in the case of lost, stolen, or damaged property. This provides information or evidence of what occurred and who is responsible, and thereby deter property crimes or violations. So that's the first one. We will be voting on this at the next board meeting. And then there is a policy. This policy I can place on the NYCC website under policies, and you can go out and look at it, or you can see me and I will get you a copy. The next one is the security and cash oversight resolution. We did update this resolution in 2024. We've agreed as a board to make a couple of changes to that. One of them is on the original resolution. It stated that previous board members had access to the office. We have taken that off from this resolution. Only current, after hours, when the doors are locked, the only people that are allowed in the office are current board members. And at the time that we wrote it, we needed 2 board members in there. For instance, if you got locked out of your condo and you needed a key, it was always stated that you needed 2 board members in there. We have cameras in there. It's kind of a pain to get 2 board members up here, you know, if somebody's locked themselves out at, 11 o'clock at night. So, that being said, we made that change so that one person has access to the office, one person can access the office to get keys, and it's because we have cameras. We can see what people are doing. No board member has access to Holly's office except for the board president, okay? I can't go into Holly's office after hours, okay? So that's the security and cash oversight. We will be voting on that at the next meeting. The landscape committee, in light of things that have happened, we have made some changes to the landscape committee, and we have stated that the board of directors shall not permit the removal of any trees unless they are disease, damaged, or threat to property. And the landscaping committee will determine what trees, shrubs will be removed or planted on the common grounds. The landscape committee will propose a plan to the board of directors with an estimated cost before commencing on any substantial projects. That right there will stop, anything else from happening. And any plant tree purchase over $500 must be approved by the board. Okay, that will be a part of the resolution. The landscape committee does need to adhere to that. Delinquent accounts. The delinquent accounts, we've always had a resolution for that. It was written in 2023. The only thing that we're changing on this resolution is the 18% that by Florida statute we are now allowed to put to charge on top of the $25. Okay, that's been running on Channel 99. I think everyone is aware of that. Also, there's the rules, resolutions, and personnel policy. It was all in one big committee. And the way it was supposed to work is that the 2 board members that were on the rules committee made up the personnel committee. Since we no longer have Chris and we have Watson, it falls on the entire board to hire new employees and to make sure their evaluations are done and to make, all of these things that any company that has employees needs to do. What we are going to do is we're going to create a specific personnel committee. Okay, because right now, a lot of this falls on Pam. I don't, not everything should fall on the president just by default. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a personnel committee, we're gonna write a resolution for it, and that committee will be made up of board members. Just, I'm not gonna go through it because we haven't actually agreed on how we're gonna do it yet.
Right,
But
right.
just to let know that everybody, we're going to have it in place, we will have it ready to go at the board meeting to be voted on.
Will the property manager be included in that? Because a lot of them are deciding what needs to be done. You might not know
Yes.
anything about it.
And what will happen, it says, day-to-day employee management, it says, work with the property manager for day-to-day operations and to manage resident complaints. Okay? So that's all I have. Any questions from anyone?
Item on the agenda has been oversighted. It's yacht club key issue.
No,
Oh,
that-
we're not done.
We're not done. I went off,
Okay, you skipped.
I'm
Sorry.
moving things around.
Okay.
Sorry. So anybody got any questions, comments on the resolutions?
Good job. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
I would at this point like to see if there are any committee reports.
You go, Sabrina, or you go, me?
You can go first and then I'll go.
Okay. Yesterday, we had a rules meeting. We're going to now, because since we're taking the personnel portion of it out, we're gonna be now known as the Rules Oversight Committee. Just the way it is. We're gonna make a proposal to the board, or I guess I'm doing it right now, to approve kayak racks on cars. The comment was, as long as you can see through them, then they should be allowed. Some of them fold down. So there's people that have asked about this. So we're going to make a proposal to the board to be able to approve kayak racks. Again, do I need a resolution or can it just go in the rules? I don't know how to do that.
That would just be changing the rules.
That'd be a change of rules,
Changing the
okay.
rules.
And then the other one was yacht club parking. I've been to 2 of these meetings so far, and this comes up every day, every time we talk. It's always an issue. We need to make sure everyone is aware. There's only 34 spots over there. You are not, you can park in a guest spot during a event as long as there's no cone in the guest spot. Okay, because they have a policy over there that if there's an event and you need to use your guest spot, then you should put a cone. They have cones over there. And do not park along the fence. This is a fire issue. It's a serious issue. And we continually have people that, park on the lawn, park here, park there. You guys we cannot continue to park in those places, okay? I'm gonna go over there. I think is there tow-away? Do we have anything that says it's a tow-away zone against that fence?
I know you have towing policy.
There is one sign at the beginning that says not to park there, that
That you will be towed.
that you could be.
Okay. So if you park there, don't be surprised if you get towed. Okay? And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you can't tow people. Well, I'm not really sure I can't if you're not parked in the right spot,
It basically boils down to a safety issue because there's time, we have had an incident where where the ambulance has had to go there and they can't get out. That's a
you can't get
problem
turned around.
because of the turnaround issue. So
So
it could be you.
there's 2 major events. There's the memorial on Saturday, and there's the Italian dinner on Sunday. Is that this week? No. Oh,
Next
week.
Okay. Please do not park in the fire lane.
We're also having the dancing under the star this Thursday.
Oh, that's right.
Speak on that real quick.
Yeah.
During the Kenny Parker, 1B. During any of the major events, why not have one of the volunteers actually stand out in the parking lot and make sure that while people are parking, that it's taken care of? Peace of mind.
Kenny, can I ask you a question? Do you think that if we put that in the on the form that you use when you rent out the yacht club that says you must have someone out there, do you think people will adhere to it, or do you think that it would just go in one ear and out the other?
Not sure.
Okay. Because we could.
Not sure, but it's something that's reasonable.
Yeah, because that was brought up.
If you've got people in the kitchen, if you got people that are organizing things, there's enough volunteers where somebody can put a coat on and stand out there and say, hey, move your car, because once the event starts, then you typically shouldn't have to worry about it.
Right. I mean,
Whatever.
That's a great suggestion, Penny. Thank you.
Landscape?
I actually have two committees. I'm over the hearing committee, but everybody's been being real good lately. We haven't had to use that committee this year.
Keep going. Oh.
So nothing's happening there. We have a full staff on it, but nothing's happening there. The landscape committee, I've taken over the landscape committee until the election and see what happens there. But I've put on 99. I'm looking for members. And I need a chairperson, and I put 3 to 4 members. I've already had like 4 to 5 people contact me. So I gotta leave it up for the full 2 weeks, which is our rules. And then I have to go through the list and talk to people and see what we're gonna do. There will be a chairperson appointed, and they will be voted on by the landscape committee and brought to the board for approval. And that's where we're at right now. I have already talked to a few residents that called me and rode around with our property manager, checking out a lot of the things that need to be done. And the work orders, I got all the work orders, so I'm going to be working on those very shortly. So that's all.
One last thing about the rules meeting. We did discuss scooter storage. Scooter storage is a hot topic around here at the moment. People are putting them out behind their condos. People are putting them, a lot of different places. We're going to call a separate meeting on that. It'll be on Channel 99 when we come up with when we're going to do that, because we didn't feel we had enough people that were represented at this rules meeting that we would just have a separate meeting to strictly talk about scooter storage and where you charge your scooter. So those are the 2 major things that we need to talk about. So stay tuned.
I have a vegetation management report from Peggy O'Keefe, which will be our final for January of 2025. Per Peggy's, the process is the same as it has been for the past 5 years. The decision process is called vegetation management. Monterey has 43 acres of many varieties of plants and trees surrounding 51 buildings, 2 clubhouses, and a golf course that we are required to maintain through irrigation, tree trimming, fertilization, and pest control. We use the following 5 different vendors to assist us with the management of all of our vegetation. 1, 707 takes a big chunk of the budget to trim the palm trees, approximately 800 of them. We have several varieties of palm trees that are not included in the annual tree trimming, which are areca palms, Christmas palms, the rubellini palm trees, etc. Number 2, Orlando Landscaping not only mows the grass, they also trim the many plants and bushes around the buildings twice a year. Number 3 is Colton Tree Service, trims the large oak trees and pine trees and many trees that overhang the buildings and does large trash removal for us. He has the bucket truck to accomplish this. Number 4 is Carlos Landscaping. He does all the following. 1, removal and installation of the plant and tree replacements, sod installation, annual mulching, etc. 2, the monthly servicing for the golf course and trims all the pond, bulkheads, and grass. 3, the annual chemical treatment for, Ganoderma? Okay, thank you. Fungus, which is it's a fungus disease that is killing our very large queen palm trees and rubellini palm trees, and there's approximately 400 of them, which is a constant battle. And these trees cannot be replaced in the same variety, with the same variety in the same location. The Ganoderma is in the ground. It is not a surface fungus that can be treated, and the chemical treatment can be applied in a liquid form under the direction of the golf course superintendent because he carries the license and can purchase it, or a granular form which Carlos is licensed for. Carlos also trims the many areca palm trees that encompass the Canner Highway wall, surround many of the 51 buildings, and fencing along the north side of the property. Fencing on both sides of the property at the yacht club. 5, he trims the Royal Ponciana trees. Vegetation is susceptible to disease, fungus, bugs, pests, and just ages out. And then there is always the loss of plants and trees due to hurricane winds and intense heat throughout the summer, pretty much 9 months of the year. 5, Bug Doctor manages the fertilization and spraying for pest control. That means that someone needs to monitor the conditions all year round. Our landscape vendors are not gardeners, and their contract specifically states what services they provide as part of the vegetation management and the cost. Selection of trees and plants is done by 1, taking the list of plants that need replacement and driving my vehicle, Peggy's vehicle, as she is not allowed to drive the truck off the property, to Ed Miller and Sons Garden Center, which is the preferred vendor. 2, walking the garden center and hand-picking out the plants. 3, loading them into Peggy's car and delivering them to the property. 4, loading them into the maintenance cart if it's not in use, and hauling them out to the areas that they may be installed by Carlos. If the maintenance cart is not available, I just drive my vehicle as close as possible to unload the plants. Number 5, I work within Carlos's schedule as much as possible. If the plants cannot be installed within the day, I bring them to my building so they are not stolen, because that does happen. And I keep them watered until he is available. At Miller and Sons Garden Center charges a delivery fee. The prior property manager gave me authority to make the selection of the plants and sign for the purchase. I never had the authority for delivery. If the trees were too large for my vehicle, I would request maintenance to bring the truck to pick up. Because this would take time away from their work, it was very limited, so no more than 3 or 4 times. I was never reimbursed for my gas or for the many trips that I took to the garden center for the past 5 years, nor was I ever reimbursed for driving my vehicle. Once the new plant trees were installed, we make sure that they received the needed irrigation, and hand watering was done most of the time. Of course, that has been and continues to be a challenge since we have not been able to get our act together and fix the many problems with the irrigation system. Due to the extreme heat and lack of a dependable irrigation system, much of the work involved in the vegetation management is done in the last few months of the year. I have sent Holly and the board an email with much of the work that we had pending for completion before year end. There are still plants trees that were not included in the big planting and will be completed in the first month of 2025. I hope you find this information useful. It has been a pleasure to have added value to the Monterey Yacht and Country Club community, and I hope that everyone enjoys the new plantings for years to come. Respectfully submitted, Peggy O'Keefe, Director, Landscape Board Liaison. An update for board committee.
Yes, I need to have it added to the agenda that we vote. We have a new finance committee member that needs to be approved, Peter Staffold. So we need to add it to the agenda so that we vote on him. We have a recommendation, 50,000 of unallocated interest be applied to the roof reserve line to replenish that roof, that 30, I forgot what the number of the roof was, 30 something building.
Oh, 34?
34 that got repaired, or got replaced before our scheduled time, so it depleted our reserves, so we want to apply 50,000 of the unallocated interest to it, so we need that voted for and added to the what do you call it, agenda. Okay, also, we would like it to be considered, this is another recommendation, that we do this ASAP, long-term termite control for subterranean termites, either using the Centricon or the chemical barrier. I personally like the killing them dead. Centricon, we have to get rid of them, so that is something I think is very important for maintenance. We need to do this ASAP. So we would like to have that added to the agenda so we can approve, hopefully Centricon and be done with termites.
That's why I see with one eye open.
Yes, it will have to be discussed.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Okay. All right. The other thing I wanted to say is Keith Keller is now the Finance Committee Chair. So. Ed Shapiro is still on the committee, but Ed Shapiro preferred to wait a little while longer because he's new till he knows more about the community and can do a better job at it. So, you're welcome. Dick, did you have anything?
Dick, do you have anything for your committee?
No,
Bob?
I don't want to bring up, no.
Okay.
I started Prevagen a month ago and I haven't kicked in.
One of the things that I did forget was a letter from a resident of our community, Jason Lee. And I will read his the letter that he sent. Was an inappropriate use of corporate funds of the association. Since purchasing a condominium at Monterey Yacht and Country Club in July of 2021, there have been numerous highlights and lowlights. While I applaud the efforts of the residents who volunteer their valuable time to sit on various committees and the board of directors for the betterment of our community, it appears additional financial controls are needed to protect the finances of our community. With my certified letter dated September 24th, 2023, to the then current president, I requested information regarding a member of the board of directors who subsequently submitted invoices for payment which were improperly paid and where the segregation of duties may have failed. It is my understanding that just recently there was another circumstance with inappropriate distribution of funds of the association in an effort to In an effort to help establish additional segregation of duties for monetary related funds pursuant to the Certificate of Amendments to the Second Amendment and restated bylaws of King Mountain Condominium Association, Article 7, I would like to request any member of the Board of Directors to propose the following amendments to the Certificate of Amendments to the Second Amended and restated bylaws of King Mountain Condominium Association, Incorporated. 1. Article 6, Section 4, add the following sentence or similar at the end of the last paragraph. Where a conflict of interest exists, i.e. related by blood, marriage, or adoption with another director who is submitting a property voucher, 2 additional directors must approve the property voucher. 2. Article 8, Section 1. Add the following sentence or similar at the end of the last section paragraph. Where a conflict of interest exists, i.e. related by blood, marriage, or adoption, with the 2 signatories, 2 alternate signatories must be used. Feel free to share this letter during the next board of directors meeting for review and deliberation. Thank you for your prompt attention to this matter. Regards, Jason Lee. And it was sent by certified mail. This is being addressed, as we have all stated and understood. To change our bylaws, we need a majority of votes. We all know that doesn't happen. It's a lot of work to do. But we are doing due diligence on this, and until such time, it will all be addressed. Thank you. Okay, now on to our last thing, the yacht club keys. It is on the agenda, the yacht club keys. Holly has suggested that we could leave the door unlocked and have a volunteer or management check the room after use. It is Holly's understanding that there has not been any issues in the past with vandalism. The most valuable items are stored in the kitchen, which everyone has use to, they currently have access to the kitchen. My past experience with open clubhouses is that an email notice was sent to the owners letting them know the clubhouse is booked for a private party on such and such day and time, and never had an issue with party crashers. There may be an issue with residents having a party without going through the proper channels, but hopefully that would not happen. But surveillance cameras would curtail that issue. Residents could be fined for such activities, but there should be parameters set up regarding what constitutes a party, for example, how many people, and basically the use of the clubhouse. I personally was in favor of blocking the clubhouse to outside use because it is a special use facility. I am open to change, as other people are. And at this time, I'm opening it for discussion. Nobody has any comments?
Can you put a key cam on that door so that people have key code plus the surveillance camera?
We need people to come up to the microphone. I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Please come to the podium. Whoever was talking. Oh.
Why is it so cold in here?
Probably got the air. They probably somebody. I'm thinking somebody back. The air conditioning is on their back closed.
But is there a door open?
I don't think so.
I'm not sure if I understand the situation, but is it possible to put a keypad on those doors? So between the camera surveillance and the keypad, each resident knows the keypad code and they can come and go as need be. And then that camera can catch, you can track who's using the facility, who's in and out. So that would probably cut down.
That wouldn't make any, that wouldn't be.
Yes, I don't know if I.
That wouldn't be any different than having the key that works for everything to work to get into the clubhouse.
Oh, I thought the idea was not to have somebody have to go find the keys.
No. Your key that works everywhere else.
It works over there too?
Would work over there.
All right.
And just hope right now you can just get into the kitchen with your key, nowhere else. No, I call it the ballroom because there is a mirror ball there. But you can't get into that room. You can't access that room through the kitchen because there's two depots. This came up because a volunteer wanted a key to do her exercise classes, and it was said that the only way it was ever open before is just to go sign out a key and go over there and use it. But that's what the change has come about because. There's volunteers that don't want to come get the key, and she does it 3 days a week. So it's before our new administrator, it was probably a pain because I know she couldn't get the key quick because the other one wasn't quite quick. But so it all came down to boil to open it up for everybody. But now since it's been brought up, about a fire hazard. Because of the kitchen being locked up, and there's somebody in the kitchen, they can't get out because there's only one door. But this fire hazard has, I guess, been there for 54 years. But we just now decided that it's a fire hazard. And that's mainly because Holly, the new property manager, discussed that, said it is a fire hazard. So we got, and I agree with her, it is. There's no way to get out of the kitchen. But now if we're going to have to open it up for one party, then it needs to be opened up for everybody. You know, that's I don't really like that idea because I go over there every morning real early and I find a lot of stuff. We just changed the locks recently, like when Carlos was here. We just changed the locks because there's 17 keys made for the front door. And that was way too many keys. So we changed the locks. Pam and Carlos and Diane talked about it because she's in the house committee. And it was too costly for them to pay for it, so the house committee paid for it. And so we changed the locks so nobody had access to it, but the house committee, the social activity committee, the property manager, and at one time Tommy had a key to it. And everybody else had to sign them out. But that's being changed now, so like I said, the problem came up now it is a fire hazard, which I agree with that, but I don't know why we didn't figure it out 54 years ago. Actually, it wasn't 54 years ago. This all started, the place was locked up. I talked to Bob McCosey about this. The place has always been locked up, even the kitchen. Nobody had access to the yacht club unless they came and signed a key out. And once the kayak club started, they had to have access to bathrooms. So then they decided to open it up to everybody for the kitchen so everybody could use the bathroom. But now it looks like it's going to be open up the whole thing for everybody.
Well, don't you think that more should be involved in this decision? Because they've been involved in discussing how they want to deal with these sort of things, so.
Well, Laura really doesn't have any
all of a sudden
say.
you're gonna say that we decided, because we didn't totally talk about it all, so.
Hi everyone, I'll have my 3 minutes. I'm Dawn from 31G, for those of you that don't know me, and I'm on Mora. I like the idea of everyone having access to the yacht club. I think it's causing a lot of Swiss cheese in our community right now. Everyone's upset about it. I think we pay a lot of money in our monthly dues. It's a beautiful space and everyone should be able to go over and use it. I think when we have a party or someone has booked it for a private event, I think that there should be a calendar at the front here so that everyone has access to on the wall, showing that there is a private event happening so that nobody goes over there. If somebody is doing a class over there, like art, Pilates or yoga, there should be a little sign on the outside of the door saying, in use, private event. So that way if someone has booked it for a private event, there's a placard on the door or the doorknob, and as well as for anyone using it for anything for our community. That's all. Thanks.
One of the things that is not being brought up is the fact that a key was issued to the art class and the exercise class for a couple of years. I don't know how long. I mean, the art class has been in existence forever, or close to it, and I don't know when they got the key. But the art class had a key, as did the exercise key class, and they gave the key back at the end of the season. I don't understand personally the logic. If you are holding a class, why that person who's holding the class cannot have a key during the season or during the duration of the classes that are being held. I don't think necessarily that it needs to be open to everybody, but if that's the choice, then that's the choice. But I don't understand this. I personally do not understand why this change happened. I voted for it at the beginning, and I will admit that. However, I didn't realize the ramifications of it. And now that I do, I don't understand why this is an issue. I just don't. But that's me. Brenda, can you possibly come up to the? Okay.
I have one question. Why do we all have keys to this clubhouse? When you're a party, we watch Super Bowl or whatever. Why do we not have keys over there? Why are they all still chairs and tables? Why? It's our area. We own it.
It can be discussed. The reason it is locked is because it was a special use event, a special use facility, and that was by choice early on. To me, it was the way it was. And I'm okay for change.
Alright, just want to know why, okay, here,
But there are times, we have to realize that there are times that needs to be locked. The clubhouse needs to be locked, such as second time around, because we do have people that pilfer. I'm sorry.
I know that.
And that's an understatement, and you know better than anybody.
And my thinking was, if you need to leave it locked for an event here or there, then you kind of have to have some sort of locking system, then everybody can't get into it.
For a particular
But
reason.
for a particular reason, but if once in a while you need to lock it up, you can't have a key that everybody can get into, because then everybody can get in all the time. So then you have to have a lock. But I'm also for people like Sue and the paint people and all the people that have a public service that they're offering the community. I'm all for them having a key. So you have a reason to get in there all the time instead of having to come there and knock on the door and wait for the long line to get down for you to get your key. And then you're spending a half an hour getting your key and returning your key. And what happens over there? Nothing but, do they trash the place? I don't think so. Maybe a chair's out of place? Okay, so somebody has to go in later and push a little chair in. Big deal. That's why I think maybe we need a locking system for like the second time around sale. But if we decided to leave it all unlocked for just all of us, then I don't know if there's a way to secure that when there's a sale. I don't know. But I'm kind of confused. I'm for both.
The election, the ballots are over there. Use the microphone.
Hi, Paula DeBella, 25G. I thought I just heard that there was going to be video surveillance, so if there's video surveillance in this common area, there could be video surveillance over there. So if there's pilfering or anything that shouldn't be happening, you'll know. But again, I like what Dawn said, have a calendar, and if it's not being utilized, then it should be available to all of us. I mean, we love our community and we want to make use of everything. That's just what I'm saying.
Let me make, thank you, I want to make a comment. The problem with the fire hazard, we're talking about the fire hazard again, okay? It is a fire hazard. But now it's going to be okay to leave it locked up for 2 weeks. So what happened to the fire hazard? I can't personally approve it if we're going to have a fire hazard for everything but one event. I mean, it's still a fire hazard there. So I don't think it needs to be unlocked or locked up for the second time around. So let's get cameras up there and we can see what's going on. You know, I don't think it needs to be, if you're worried about a fire hazard, you don't need to lock it up for 2 weeks. That's my comment.
Are we done with that item?
Yeah, I'm done.
Hold on. One more. Sue, you go ahead.
Okay. Sue Kratz, 10J. I'm confused as to why now it's a fire hazard prior to before.
Because Holly never had inspected it.
Well,
It was,
we went over there to look at the clubhouse. And when I first started, I'll be honest with you, I was given the yacht club key. So I never realized the key everyone had to go through the kitchen and get in there. So I'm sitting in the hallway and I'm looking at that door in the kitchen, and if there's a fire in this kitchen, how am I gonna get out?
That's because you couldn't get into the clubhouse.
Exactly, that's where this all came out. It was a little scary, you know, this door is locked, what am I gonna do? I can't get out this way.
But prior to you being here, when we would go over there, the door from the bathroom to the clubhouse was not locked. We could go in there and come back. Now they put it so that you can't get in there with the deadbolts on that one side. So now you've created a bigger fire hazard because you can't open them.
That was in place when I started.
And that's a different key, I believe, than the front door key.
and it's a key that Holly does not have.
Sue, let me give you my recommendation on this. This is what I say. Once they talk about a fire hazard, I don't think the key to the front door should be given out to everybody. Everybody has access to the kitchen. The door to the hallway that goes into the ballroom, I was gonna put a passage lock on that. That means there's no button to lock it, there's no key, so it's always accessible through that door to get to that big room. So everybody will be able to get to it from going to the kitchen. They don't have to go into the front door. So that was my recommendation, to do that. Take the deadbolt off of that door, put just a passage. A passage lock is like you go to the closet, you know, sure you can't get locked
No
in.
lock.
So you just go, everybody would have access that way. That was my recommendation.
That's where the fire would be.
Yep.
Well, I mean, if you had that door left open, anybody then could go in for their class. We don't need a key to the front door.
That's
We
what I'm
could go
saying.
the back way.
That's exactly what I said, yeah.
And then you wouldn't have a fire hazard because you can go out
That's
that
right.
way and out the back.
That's
So
what I
that
was
solves-
saying, exactly what I
That
said.
solves a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Solves all the problems.
That's what I said, just put a passage lock on it. And then it's done. Oh.
Okay, there's just one last thing I want to say. I want to thank the board members, previous board members, all of the board members that have served and volunteered for this community. I worked as a director in a hospital for years and years and years. Now I realize our board is paid. However, I would be appalled if anyone spoke to our board members the way you've been spoke to in the 10 years, or in the last maybe 5 or 4 years. It's gotten to nothing but disrespect. Nobody respects each other. They think they can say whatever they want. And if you disagree, you can disagree in a polite way. Like if somebody says something that you don't believe is true, you can say, you know what? Can we talk a little bit more about that? Because I think I heard something different. That's not how it's been. It's been accusatory, it's been blame, it's been horrible. And in the 10 years I've been here, let me tell you, I would almost rather be back at home than in this community with the way it's been.
That's a tough act to follow. Jimmy stayed here. Kathy, I'm just concerned with having it all opened up during the annual meeting, because the ballots are over there, and I don't know what the Florida laws are.
Yeah, not this year.
To secure the ballots.
Not this year.
There won't
Florida
be
state statute says that the ballots need to be where the meeting is held, which will be in this room. So they're gonna be counted in this room this year. They're not gonna be over there, so no concerns there.
They usually count them in a glass room all the time. Just the last couple of years, they moved them over there. They used to be counted right up there in the glass room.
Hello, Judy Roberts, 17G. I haven't started taking Prevagen yet, so I had to bring this up to make sure I remember what I'm talking about. Just a couple of things. We recently had the boiled water order in effect, and I was concerned because a lot of people don't look at emails frequently, don't look at Channel 99, throughout every day. And I happened to find out about it later in the evening when we were coming home from someplace. And I thought we had a call-em-all that we're paying for, and I just was wondering why we didn't use that service to let everybody know. Because I called a couple people and they're like, oh, I had no clue. We just got done having company and we've been serving them water from the tap. So, I'm sure it was a precautionary thing, but had it not been a precautionary thing, why didn't we use our call-em-all?
That will be corrected, and we have, be honest, in total transparency, we didn't know how to use it. It's as simple as that. Directions were left with the person that has left us, and we did not have a clue on how to use it. Now that has been corrected, and anything going forward will be a call-em-all.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Because we do realize that there are people in our community that do not have access to a computer or they don't text. So there is the call-em-all will be in place.
Wonderful, thank you.
But the only thing I have to ask is if you are on the call-em-all, please do not call the office because you're too lazy to listen to your voicemail.
Amen. One more quick one. I know it's been talked about numerous times at meetings in the past, but personally, I'm very upset at the people that continue to park in front of the mailbox between building 10 and 11. because we live down past that. Coming around that corner is very dangerous. A lot of the people that live here abide by our speed limit, but we have a lot of external people that are in this community on a daily basis and throughout the day. And I've had several near misses coming around that corner because someone's parked right in front of the mailbox. Right across from my mailbox, there's 4, I counted them, 4 guest spots. They can very easily pull in. I know some people are challenged with walking, but they're right there. They can pull into the guest spot, access their mail, then safely pull out of the guest spot and not put everybody else in danger because they're parking right in front of those mailboxes and causing a hazard as we're trying to come around that corner. So I know it's been talked about repetitively. I'm sorry to repeat it again, but I just have a real concern about it because I feel like we're going to be one of the ones that I'm going to be up here saying, I told you so. And I really don't want to be that person.
Hey,
So,
Judy?
yes.
When you see that, can you call the office and let Holly know, and maybe we just start putting, warnings on people's cars or whatever, if you could.
I have one particular person that does it often, so if I could maybe talk to Holly about that, and maybe they could talk to that person.
And
I'd appreciate it.
Are they actually parking there or to get their mail?
They're parking right in front of the mail. They pull up right next to the mailbox, or right in front of the mailbox, to get out and access their mail.
Okay.
So they're blocking the traffic that's coming this way. So we have to go around them right on that corner.
That's already a rule. It's already on 99.
Yeah, it's a very blind corner, which is causing issues.
Well, and I would suggest also that if you don't, if Holly can't do anything, if you can get a license plate number.
Okay, for sure. One last quick one. Well, the speed limit was the thing, but I think it's a lot of external people. Apparel sales coming up next month. One plug.
That's okay. Take your time. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your side comments or your side conversations to a minimum.
Sue Kress, 10J. About the mailboxes, I believe it's one person. The person was reported by me last year. This person got 3 warnings. It isn't that this person is just picking up her mail. She's reading her mail in the car and her packages. So she maybe does have some trouble walking, but she's been told, my husband went out the other day, you can't, it is very dangerous. You can't sit, you can get your mail, but you sure as heck can't read your mail in the car when you're blocking everything. So we know the person that's the #1 person doing it. It's the only one I've seen do it where they violated.
Well, you need to report it.
Report it, please.
Report it.
Yeah. Well, we were going to give the benefit of the doubt because we spoke to her personally, and she did go to the guest spot after we spoke to her personally, so I'm hoping she will not do it.
Perfect. Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
You have another comment?
Real quick, on the call them all system, there's also a text them all that's included in that, and that's way quicker. The call them all picks up the call, so if it's very important, you can do both.
Can we do both? We can do
Text them
both.
all is much quicker, especially if you have a line break or something.
Right. However, because I mentioned, we talked about it, doing both. Thanks, Chris. Yes? Okay.
It's about dancing under the stars. Due to the weather, it's going to be across the street instead of in the parking lot.
Oh, you're holding Dancing Under the Stars is going to be at the yacht club.
Dancing under the ceiling.
Dancing under the ceiling. Well, you can pretend that the disco ball are stars.
Yeah, there you go.
Paul, thank you.
Paul Jones, 45H. There was an opening on the workshop committee.
Yes, sir.
It was posted on 99. I believe I was the only one that responded. Needs to go on the agenda to be approved at the board meeting.
No.
I don't think you have to be approved by the board because you're
Tell me under Maura.
Go tell Melissa.
You're Maura. So as long as Maura approved it, you're good.
We already approved it. You're good.
Good to know. Tina, I don't want to know how good he is. Anything else?
Actually, I think the only things that need to be approved by the board as far as positions are finance committee.
No.
No, and
All board meetings, all board, yeah.
Okay, never mind, I was wrong, my bad.
Anybody have anything else that they care to bring up? Deb, please.
Deborah South, 1 eye. I'm just wondering if there's still a law regarding pickup trucks not allowed on the property?
Yes, there is.
And being parked backwards and
Yes,
I've seen more pickup trucks around here this year.
If they're working in your unit,
On a Sunday?
No, you can't.
no, they're not working on Sunday.
If they're work,
But if they're visiting, they can visit.
Back in?
Yeah, well, no, they're not supposed to be back then. People, gotta tell your visitors, we'll put that on 99.
Just check to make sure.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it on Monday.
Right, thank you. Anything else? Anybody else? I'm making a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second that.
We're adjourned. And thank you for all for coming. We appreciate it. And I just want to make a reminder that the next board